Hello folks and welcome to the Vertigo Tea Party, and let's try Cities Skylines. It's developed by Colossal Order, published by Paradox Interactive. You can pick it up on Steam for $29.99. It's available for Windows, Linux, Steam Play, and Mac. It supports Steam achievements, Steam trading cards, cloud saves, the workshop, and has a map and asset editor. I will be playing a press copy, which was provided to me for free to show you guys this game. So before we hop into it, typically I like to hop right in, but real quick I want to show you a few things. First off, you can see there's already workshop mods in the game, and it's technically not even released until tomorrow. So by the time you watch this, it should be available. But there's already mods, things like modern house buildings, different types of maps, things like that. So that's pretty cool. To look at the content manager, one thing that I noticed that's pretty neat is under save games, you can actually share some of these things, like your saves. So maybe if you make a really cool city or run into a problem and you want to get some help with, it looks like you can actually share that and have other people download your town and see what you did or fix the problem that you ran into or other things, which is really, really cool that that's built in. Assets, things like that are here. There's also some basic mods that the developers threw in. There's a hard mode which increases like construction and maintenance costs, and I think it also lowers demand for items or for building types. Unlimited money and unlimited basically unlocks everything, because like other games nowadays, you have to unlock the ability to make certain things by hitting certain populations. This will actually unlock that. So really cool to see that. I really like to see more and more games have mod support, so kudos to them. First off, we're going to start a new game. I will play a little bit to show you the basics, and then I'm going to hop into a game that I've got about 4 hours in. Let's go with a river run. You can see your resources down here. We got oil, we got ore, we got farming resources, and we have forestry. Shows you how much water we have. Also shows you our outside connections, what type of connections we have, roads, things like that. But let's go ahead and let's go with this is called rockwood. Let's go with tea wood. Oh wait, vertiwood. Yes, that makes perfect sense. Let's go ahead and get started. Let it generate our map. Actually, I don't think the map is like automatically generated. I think that's a pre-built map, as far as if I'm reading it right. Because I know on like Civilization, for example, you can have it randomly generate, but it'll have certain criteria, like it has to have X percentage of water. But I don't think these are. Anyway, so we're gonna kind of hide the tutorial stuff because I'm a pro at this now. Absolutely not. So first things first. Now, you might say, okay, this seems like a small bit of land. I want to clear this up immediately because this worried me a little bit. One of the big concerns about SimCity 2013, and I did not play that game because of a lot of reasons, but was that the areas were too small. And they're like, well, you can build another city over here, and they sort of connect, but you have the zone to get between the two. That's not the case with this game. And I'll show you this a little bit later, but as you unlock other things, you can actually buy land next to you, and it seamlessly integrates into your own city. So you don't have to zone out and switch over. It just adds on to your existing land, and I'll show you that later on. But it's a very important point I want to throw out. Anyway, so first things first, we need to build roads to the outside so that people can come in and we can transport goods and all that stuff. You have a bunch of different road types. Again, you can see these are all blocked off for the time being because I haven't met certain requirements. Usually it's population. But this is just your basic 2-lane road. So we are going to go ahead and pop it in here. I'm also going to make it go all the way across, just because you can see the cost of the road there. Hopefully, let's move the camera up so I can make this straight as possible. Let's close that because it's in my damn way. Can zoom out pretty well here. I think that's good enough. And I don't... Wait, why are you not letting me just build a road next to it? That's kind of strange. I guess you can't have two roads that close to each other? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I don't think this one doesn't have to be connected because it's a two-lane road, so that's fine. So let's get to building residential areas and what have you. So first off, let's build a little residential spot here. Now, one thing I really like, when you're building roads, if you look to the sides, you see the kind of light blue lines. That shows you how far out you can build. Almost everything in the game has to be built within X number of squares of a road. And those blue lines show you just how far out you can go. And there's these long lines which help you count off a whole lot easier. So, obviously you want every square, because if we do something like this, that's not going to work, because now we have this center area which is worthless. We can't build anything in there. Obviously, if you want to do it for aesthetic purposes, you can do so, but no, we don't want that. We want to be efficient, at least for the time being. So let's go ahead and we're going to go out to here. And we'll go out to, let's see, I think about here should work. Yep, and see now you can see it's perfectly filled in. There's no overlap. So this is the minimum amount of road that we would need to cover and be built to cover all of this land efficiently, right? Does that make sense? There's no gaps and there's no overlap between the roads. But before we start building zones, we need to get the basic stuff taken care of. First, we need to get power. We want power kind of off by itself. So we are going to, because it does generate a lot of pollution. So we're just going to kind of throw stuff down for the time being, just to get you to see what things look like. And, you know, then we'll hop over to my my bigger city. And you can see a city that's, you know, pretty well underway. I've already done that. So I shouldn't have to do that again, I don't think. I don't remember having to hook both of these roads up. It's still kind of weird that you can't have both roads going parallel to each other. That I don't understand. Anyway, so, you know, again, you can do wind power, which is interesting because the way they do this is it shows you on the map. Dark, I think it's, what, dark blue, I think, is better. And also, it'll tell you. So if you look while I'm hovering the mouse, it says estimated production 6 milliwatts, 5 milliwatts, etc. So you can kind of know what you're going to do ahead of time. Also, the red circle, or well, orange, whatever it is, you can see this guy. It might be hard to see, but there's a little like headphones under that. That means it generates noise pollution. So obviously you don't really want that on top of your residential districts. But for now, we're going to go with good old-fashioned coal power. If it was good enough for my grandpappy, it was good enough for you. So we gotta go ahead and get that started, because we obviously need power. We also need water. So let's go ahead and create our water pump. Now, you pump water, you also need to pump your waste. Now, this might seem crazy, but you don't want to pump your waste into the water that you're going to be drinking. So we're going to actually put the pump here, and then we'll put the waste over here. So I'm going to keep them nice and separated. And now let's go ahead and just start laying some water pipes down. Again, this is going to be a little sloppy at first, just to kind of, well, actually, let's do power first. Let's go ahead and get the power hooked up. So buildings close to each other will automatically cover power lines to each other. But because these buildings are so far apart, you do need to build power lines. And the power lines just need to be within the blue range of the building. So here's the power, the coal power. So we're going to put it right here because it's in the blue. And we are going to put the other one here. And then we'll put another one. Ooh, actually, you know what? Let's just do this. There we go. Now they both have power. Now they both have power. There you go. The power icon went away. It floats away, letting you know that that has been resolved. So now let's go ahead and start planning our water. And let's hope we do it a lot better than I did in my own game. So you have to make water pipes. This is pretty easy. When you're drawing pipes, it shows like a blue area around. That will show you where the water is being serviced. So we're going to go ahead and just draw a line all the way to the end. Again, completely unnecessary for what we're doing. But, you know, it's going to want to, again, we'll kind of show you how this works. And again, we don't want to double up as any more than we have to, because it's just not price efficient. And keeping in mind, again, this is all underground, so you're not going to have any kind of collision problems with buildings, electrical wires, anything like that. You might run into subway issues, but I don't think so. Alright, so that's good enough for there. Now we need to be able to pump this out to the sewage, of course. So we are going to go ahead and say, okay, you go to here. Now it's going through. So you don't have to worry too much about, one thing I was worried about was, oh, you know, do you have to worry about making sure you don't double back so the sewage is running into the water, things like that. I've never really played in depth a game that actually has the water pipes. I played SimCity 4 a little bit, but I was afraid of that. But this is very, very easy. As long as you have the capacity to pump, and as long as this goes to, as long as you're pumping from clean water, you're fine. And you can see your capacities here. I'm pumping 120,000 cubic meters a week, and we're pumping out 0 because there's nobody in our town to poop. Let's fix that. Let's add some poopers. If you look down here, you'll see our residential. There's a very high demand for residential zones. People want to live here for some reason, probably because it's nice and quiet. Well, we're going to fix that. So we pick our zoning tool, and we have our choices of residential, commercial, industrial, and office space. This is going to seem very familiar to those of you who have played these types of games before. So but this is a little different in how you paint it. You don't draw residential or whatever squares by square. You do it by section, and it just kind of fills itself in. Now there's 4 different paints you can do here. You can just say, okay, this is the fill. I want everything in here to be residential. So I click it. It'll go green for residential, and eventually people will start moving in and building houses. And while we wait for that, I'll show you the other tools real quick. Marquee, I use this one a lot because a lot of times I want to be very specific with how I build. In particular, if I'm going to branch off these roads later on. So I'll draw this. And now this will be residential. Same thing over here. And we're going to need some commercial. Give some places for people to shop and to work. So let's go ahead and use the small brush. And there's 2 brushes, small and large brushes. I honestly don't find much use for these. I'm sure that there are. But basically, it's just like you're doing something in Paint or that completely legal version of Photoshop that you have, where you just click it and you just paint where you want the commercial areas to go. And you can see I've got a little square there empty. The game will do its best to kind of fill in around you, but I think you still probably want to square that off. I don't know. So people are moving in and suddenly realizing, hey, we don't have electricity. So let's go ahead and fix that problem. Go ahead and get an electrical line here. And again, we only have to get it into the blue. Once we've got it into the blue, these houses will feed electricity to each other. And you'll see these little lightning bolts start disappearing. And you'll see our bars here, residential slowly starts to drop. Commercial is going to start going up, and then industrial will start going up. So you need to basically keep an eye on this. This will tell you very, very quickly, oh, I need more houses or I need more industrial. So let's go over the UI a bit while we're waiting. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and build some industrial. Now, industrial, as with most games and as with real life, you don't really want to put the industrial right up on the residential, folks. They don't really... Residential or industrial areas, I don't know how many of those you've been around, but they don't always smell so great. So let's go ahead, and they're also often very loud, etc. So let's do the same thing here. Actually, we're going to do, is this a one-way road? 2-lane, one-way road. Now, I haven't dealt much with this, and this is going to be grossly inefficient, but we're going to do it just for the heck of it. So we can draw this here. We're going to go out 2. Right to the line. Right to the line. Right to the line. So, of course, again, with 2-lane, or 2-lane one-way road, they have to go this way. So if you want in here, you have to go this way. I'm definitely not ideal by any stretch. I would not suggest actually doing that in a way that I've done it, but I just wanted to show you that it was possible if you're very bad at road design, which I am, actually. We have 4-lane roads available right off the start. Later on, we can get 4-lane with decorative grass and trees. Now, that kind of stuff is not just for looks. It also helps lower noise pollution, and I think it helps lower regular pollution as well. It says only says noise pollution there, but again, there's more roads, more one-ways, those types of things. We have highways, which I haven't got to really start to use those yet. Highways with sound barriers, things like that. There's also roundabouts. Now, I'm American. I only know horror stories about roundabouts. So I have no idea how to use them, and I'm kind of afraid to use them because I have no idea how they work, and like I said, I've only heard horror stories about them. But they are there. Also, I don't know if you noticed when I created this game, you can choose which lane the people drive on, either the correct way on the right side or the foreign, bizarre British way on the wrong side of the road. So you need more residential, so let's just go ahead and slap some more residentials. I'm going to push them down this way to kind of show you how to expand out, or at least how I expand out. Probably not the most efficient. Wait, did I do... Oh, yep, I did. I did the one-way road. We don't want that. We don't want that. Usually, and also, if you destroy stuff quickly, you get your money back. Or you get more money back if you destroy stuff quickly, which I like. Because I make a lot of mistakes. So we're going to build this. And of course, you can go the other route too, right? Also, you can tell people don't like when you build more roads around them because it does add noise pollution. So keep that in mind. I usually just ignore them because I don't care what they want. You can also go this way, of course. Kind of the same thing. But this way we can go a lot longer, right? So now you've got a big stretch. Of course, now you have to keep in mind if somebody is here and wants to get over here for some reason, they have to go all the way around. But and let's get them to shut up about the residential. So let's go ahead and fill. We're going to fill that. This is going to be a horrifically ugly town. But again, I'm just kind of showing the basics, and then I'll switch over to my regular city once we watch people slowly move in. One thing I want to point out, this game kind of does the SimCity thing. And by the way, I am going to compare this game to SimCity and Cities XL a bit. I haven't played the newest SimCity, to be fair. Of course, I've seen videos, watched pictures, seen pictures, things like that. I have played Cities XXL, or XXL, not triple XL, a bit. So I will be comparing them to them because they're the most recent, obvious examples to compare them to. But, I'm going to also hold this game to its own merits. Anyway, so when you zoom in, you kind of get that what's that blur effect called, where you kind of zoom in, that focus effect. I like it, except it doesn't get clear. Like, it's almost always very blurry. Like, I want stuff to be a little bit more clear, like more clear, less blurry, because it's kind of hard to focus, and it kind of takes away from the looks of it, in my opinion. And I haven't found an option to change that. I don't necessarily want to turn it off, but I like to, a little bit have a, somewhere in the middle. So as you can see, stores are starting to pop up, and here's one of my complaints about the game. I would say this is a relatively minor complaint, but one of the cool things about building a city is seeing the variety and watching it grow and just seeing all the different types of stores just like a real city. Part of the problem I'm running into is there's too many stores that have all the same billboards. So again, you can already see there's 3 of the same billboard. This one has 2 of the same one, and this one has that same big bite. It's crunch time. Billboard on it. I would like to see some more variety there. Hopefully that's something they can release. Obviously 2 mods can fix that, but I would like to see that in the base game, right? I don't think I should need a mod to get a little more variety there. Again, that's a relatively minor complaint. If you're somebody who plays these types of games purely to see how efficiently you can make your city, it's not a big deal. But for other folks like myself, who again just kind of want to see it as a living city and being different and all that, then it is kind of a bummer. Anyway, let's go through the UI a little bit here. Here is our infographic tool. Obviously, a lot of the stuff is grayed out, again, because we haven't unlocked much, because we don't have that many people here. Actually, we don't have any people here. How is that possible? Oh, you know what? I bet something's going on with this road. Something's going on with this road. Hold on. Oh, and we're out of money. So we need to get a loan. Oh, we can't get a loan. Oh, wow. Okay, so that might be bad. All right, so this has not been a good example. I guess they do have to have both roads connected. That's kind of a bummer. Anyway, I don't remember having that problem before. Regardless, let's look at the infographic here. And I'm not going to go through all of them. I just want to kind of show you the type of information that is available, because again, these types of tools are very, very important for this type of game, because you need to be able to quickly see what information, like what's going on in your city, what you need to fix, and what you need to do to grow. Electricity shows you the total electricity consumption and production. And again, you can kind of get a good bird's eye here view of everything being blue. Shows you what's being powered. This shows you water. You know what? Actually, let's do this. Since we're having problems with this town anyway, let's go ahead and switch over to the main town. Again, I just wanted to show you the basics of getting started, what you have to start with. So let's now quit to the menu. And now we're going to load up my main town. And you get to see my horrible city management. To be fair, I was also trying to learn the mechanics of the game, so there's a lot of really bizarrely built areas. Also, you can make curved roads, which I did not realize for quite a while. Now, let's talk about performance real quick while I'm thinking about it. Performance is okay. Right now, I'm getting about 50 frames a second. I've got a pretty beastly machine, but I also have everything cranked up. So I feel like this should probably be running a little bit better than it is. Given the size of my city, I've only got about 11,000 people. So I feel like it should run a little bit better. It's definitely way better than Cities XL runs, but I still feel like it could use some work. Right, when I zoom down to here, to this level, I'm getting about 25 to 30 frames a second. Again, obviously it's going to drop a little bit because we're zooming in and seeing the people walking back and forth, stuff like that. But I would like to see it a little bit better. Hopefully that's something that they can work on. But now that we have a full, real city, I'll give a good view of the city while I go through the menu here. Let's quickly go through the other menu options again. Actually, let's just do it like this way. Again, for those of the efficient folks who will want to see how this works. You can see my fantastic laying of the water lines too. Again, you can see how much water we're creating. versus how much consumption, sewer production, etc. Garbage, you can see, which lanes are being properly fulfilled. Unfortunately, I actually have really good garbage coverage. Oh, yeah, garbage coverage, so I can't really show you. And also, if there's weaknesses, like if people's garbage aren't being picked up, there'll be icons over those houses, so it's easy to spot very quickly where your problems are. Let's see, let's go over education, another very, very important one. This shows you you can have elementary schools, high schools, and universities. It tells you how many people are eligible for this type of education versus your actual capacity in schools. You can see here, I actually have more people eligible for elementary school than I have actually in the schools, which is obviously not good unless you want to breed. Some people, are just made to dig ditches, I guess would be the thought process there. But you probably should have schools covering everything. High school, university, same deal. Citizen happiness. This shows you the overall happiness, your residential happiness, etc. Let's see, that's health. So again, you need schools, things of that nature. You want low pollution, especially around residential areas, so that it doesn't affect your health. Death care, which is a funny way of putting it. But basically, you need to make sure you have a place to bury those who have passed on. Levels. This is the average level. Your buildings do level up. And let's actually look at that right now before I forget, because I have a feeling I will forget. So if we click on, let's click on this residential area. This shows your levels. This house right now is level 3. We're working up to level 4. Higher level residences, if I remember correctly, pay more taxes. I think you can fit more people in the higher level residences too. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do, and well, I'm pretty sure they also pay more taxes. If you hover over this, it'll also tell you what you need to do to get this to level up. In this case, I need to increase the land value to allow the building to be upgraded. So I need to build like parks, other things that make people want to move in, and it will level up. And the leveling up is automatic. You'll see like the structure outside that the building is being added on to, things of that nature. And that works for all types of buildings that I've seen, both industry and commercial, same thing. But of course, they often have the same types of requirements in order to level. Again, land value, things of that nature. So anyway, that's the leveling up system. Let's go back to this. Wind. Wind is, as far as I know, the only use for wind is the power. It might affect your garbage dump, so if somebody's downwind from a garbage dump, that might be pretty bad. Otherwise, it's mostly for wind turbines. Traffic, obviously you can see I've got some traffic problems here are starting to manifest. Getting into the city is obviously not very easy, and it looks like I did have both roads here. I don't know why it would not let me build the roads side by side, but anyway, this type of thing is going to be the death of me, because I am terrible at fixing traffic. And one complaint that I've heard other people running into is traffic problems, and people not being able to get around these traffic issues. And I don't know how true it is. I haven't run into them too badly yet. As you can see, it's not really hammering my city yet, but there is mass transit to deal with that, and we'll cover that. But it's definitely something to keep in mind when you're designing your city. We have pollution. Obviously, these are my industrial areas, my wastes, and this is where we're dumping all of our poop into the river, because we're very, very eco-friendly here, apparently. Let's see, we will look at noise pollution. Again, obviously you want to keep noise pollution away from residential areas. Fire safety, again, kind of showing the coverage of your firemen. Also, there's certain like edicts you can do, like paying to have fire alarms in houses. This reduces the risk of catching on fire in the first place. And it's fire alarms in both residential, commercial, and industrial. So it actually applies to all of it. Crime, I'm actually doing pretty good on crime here. In fact, I don't have any red areas. I've got pretty good coverage on crime, so no problems there. Transport, now here you can see your various modes of mass transport. You can see I've got about 390 citizens per week using the bus and 193 using the subway. Now, I don't know if that's really great or not. Yes, I know, thank you. I don't know if that's really great or not. I've got 12,000 people, and only about 400 or 500-ish of them are like maybe about a third are using mass transport. So I guess that's not too bad. Obviously, you want more and more people using mass transport, and I'm not. Notice I'm having brownouts here. We'll cover that in just a little bit. But yeah, that's overall the transport. You can see my subway here. And unfortunately, you can't click on these. Okay, and if you zoom in a little bit more, you can see the blue showing my bus lines. I like this color scheme, by the way. It makes things very easy to spot very quickly, and it just aesthetically looks pretty nice as well. And I'll go over the little tweet things here as a bit. Sorry, there's a lot to cover, so I'm trying to cover in a reasonable time frame. So we're going to hide that. Now, this advisor thing is nice, so you can click on something and click this, and it'll tell you more about it, which is really, really nice, especially for a game like this that has a lot going on. Population, show you the overall population broken up into age groups. Where was I? Outside connections. This, I'm not quite sure how this works. I haven't really messed with this yet. I guess this just shows like tourism, things like that. I'm not overly familiar with that just yet, so I won't go into that too much. Land value. Again, I guess this would be, you want land value with, you know, parks around, schools, fire, anything that helps people, you know, police departments, things like that are going to put up your land value. Natural resources. Here we can see oil is black, and is that? No, this is ore. So we have ore over here, which is land we don't own yet, but we can buy later. Yellow is fertile land, so we can build like farm industry there, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. Oil, which I don't even see the oil. That's still blue, I think. Color blindness strikes again. And let's see, what was the other thing? Oh, I think forest is the green. Obviously, the trees. It's pretty. That one's a little bit easier to see. Districts. You can create districts, and I'll cover districts in just a bit. And leisure. I don't think I've ever even clicked on this. Raise the happiness, blah, blah, blah. So this guy, I guess, it shows you your places where people go to kind of relieve stress. So that is all of the various tools you can use to quickly see what's going on, where your problem areas are, like traffic. I have a feeling that's going to be a big issue. Things like that. World map. Now, this is where I was talking about before, where you can buy additional land. Now, when I started, I only had this area here. But I bought this just to kind of mess with it. And again, you can see it seamlessly integrates. There's no zoning. There's no having to go out and switch over like it's its own separate city. It is part of the land. And keep in mind, just because it looks like this is all you can buy, other parts most likely unlock. So just to show it, let's go ahead and purchase this. See, now I can spread out even more. Let's just purchase a few, because who cares, right? I'm probably not going to save this anyway. Oh, okay, so it looks like you can only have so much at a time. I'm going to guess as your city levels up, you can have more and more area. But you can see there's quite a bit of ways to build out. This is how, like, basically your city levels up based on, as far as I've seen, it's all population. And things unlock based on population. So, for example, at 7,500, I unlock things like unique buildings, the metro, a bunch of policies, which will go over, high-density residential and commercial zones, things like that. So you want to get a higher population. Now, I feel like once you've learned the game, though, you'll probably want to go and use that mod that changes it so you don't have to hit these certain benchmarks to unlock. Because I feel like it's not just a reward system. I feel like if you just threw all this stuff at a new player, they would be completely overwhelmed with an insane amount of things that you could do. So I think this is a smart way to kind of, you know, slowly, what's the term? Kind of drip feed that stuff to you so that you're not overwhelmed with way too much stuff. All right, so we've been over that. This is just the day. You have 3 different speeds. You have a regular time, 2 times speed, 3 times speed, etc. The only way I can get it to go back to 1 time, actually, I have a hard time getting it back to 1. Sometimes it's hard to click for me. I don't know. Anyway, you can pause, obviously. T-Town, there's the name of my town. You can click this. It'll tell you some general statistics. This, again, is the bar. It shows you your needs. I'll go over those in just a minute. Here's your money, obviously. And here's how much I'm making or losing per week. This is my population and how many people are coming in per week. And my overall happiness. People are pretty happy right now, amazingly enough. I don't know how long that's going to last. So we went over the road tools and the zoning tools. Let's talk a little bit about districts. Districts are interesting in that you can set specific rules for a district. Now, the most obvious use of that is industry. This area is in a heavily forested area. So I created this district, and it created just the name automatically, Chestnut Hills. You can change that if you want. And I can say, okay, this is a forest industry. Since there's a lot of trees around, it's a forest industry. It slightly increases how much money I make because I'm focused on trees, harvesting trees, creating creating like chairs and stuff like that. It also slightly increases my electricity consumption, but overall, it's probably, I would hope that it's worth doing that. And also, it requires trees, obviously, to do that. And there's the other areas the same way. Farming industry, you have to be in a fertile land or industry, etc., etc. And it's pretty cool because if you actually click on the building, actually, I think this is agricultural areas. If you click on these buildings, they do look different. Like, for example, you can see there's farms here. And the building types are going to be like Ready Sliced Fruit or Juice Press or Mary's Livestock. So they'll actually be businesses specific to the type of land that you're in, which is cool. I like that, which, I mean, only makes sense. As far as I can tell, that kind of designation has absolutely no effect on residential and commercial or office buildings. It's only industry. Also, industry buildings do not level up. By the way, I thought this was quite funny. Amy's Baking Company. If you're not familiar with that, look it up. But it's quite awesome that they have Amy's Baking Company in this game. Anyway, so yes, that's districts. But on top of that, there's also policies that you can do. For example, let's say, I don't know, you wanted, let me find this. Small business enthusiast is a policy. Perks for small businesses. Low density commercial buildings double their sales, but increases my upkeep 2 cents per low density commercial building. Let's say I just wanted to test that in one area. I could say, okay, I want this to be here. I think that's how that works. Policies? No, I think I have to do it this way. Hold on. Sorry, I haven't actually tried to do a district. I haven't messed a whole lot with policies. But let's say I want to click this, and we go to policies. So, and I got an achievement for that. Awesome. But now if we go out, yeah, all right, you can see it's not available for the whole city. It's just for this district. And there's an icon showing, and it's kind of hard to see, but there's an icon showing that I had the small business enthusiast on that district. So that's pretty cool. There's other things too that might seem more obvious. For example, there's one that specifically prohibits high-rise buildings. So if you want to have an area be more of a rural area and not an area like this with larger buildings, you can just say, no, you can't have any high-rise buildings in this district. I don't know. I would imagine there's probably gameplay benefits to doing that. I know, for example, high-rise type buildings tend to attract the younger people, while these are, by the way, these are high density residential buildings. And then the low density residential buildings tend to attract people with families. So obviously you want to strike a balance there because you want to have kids going to school so that they can later become good worker drones. So that's all that. There's a free camera mode. There's also destruction as well. And quickly, let's go over the types of buildings that we can make. We have electricity, obviously, we kind of covered that. And again, you can eventually get a little bit more eco-friendly. There's an oil power plant, not that that's that eco-friendly. You can do hydro power plants. There's also a solar power plant, which doesn't unlock for me until population of 2,000, or 20,000, rather. We have our water stations. We've got water treatment plants out of my reach so far. Garbage landfill. You can also build incinerators, which I have up here. Oh, yeah, there they are. There you have incinerators, which burn trash and generate electricity. But again, obviously don't want trash incinerators too close to home. Healthcare, you can build hospitals, cemetery, and a crematorium. We have, the basic fire stations, police stations. We have, as I mentioned before, elementary schools and high school, things of that nature. Now, transit is probably going to be a big thing for a lot of folks, like I mentioned before. Traffic is probably going to be a big issue once you start cramming more and more people in. You have bus lines, you have the underground metro, you have the train system, you have ships, which I can't even click on yet, and airplane. I would imagine planes are more for bringing people in, like tourists, things of that nature. So there's definitely some interesting transportation issues or options in there. I'm not good at setting up transportation at all, as you can probably tell by my subway. But that's something you probably want to get learned up on, or else you're going to have serious traffic problems. And people do not like traffic. Trust me, I know. I sit in it about an hour each way to work every day. So here's your decoration type stuff. You get a few parks. We have, let's see, paths. Like these are just general nature paths, I guess. We have props. I think these also help. These might just be for your viewing pleasure as well. So for those of you who want to beautify your city, not just be efficient, you actually want the city great for screenshots for your favorite subreddit, then that's options are there. I would like to see a little bit more on the parks area, but again, I presume we'll see mods with that kind of thing. You also have unique buildings. Now, unique buildings are interesting in that you have to unlock them. For example, for this, the Modern Art Museum, I have to have 50% of the population highly educated. So you might actually want to work on that before you get a really, really big city, because then it becomes kind of difficult to get half of the population highly educated. And all of these tend to give, you know, various benefits, like the stadium. I haven't even built, or I didn't even know I had the money for this. These tend to be very expensive. Let's go ahead and just throw it down right here. Again, I'm not really going to save it. Also, one thing I like is when you place a building that people like, you'll see like a wave of smiley faces go out. Like, just to kind of show you how this works. I was going to throw down a random police station. So you can see quickly how many people it's going to affect, which is pretty awesome. I really like that effect. And aesthetically, again, it just looks pretty nice. Let's see. But yeah, that's the unique buildings. And I think you can only have one of each, I believe. Well, these are called, they're called, well, I guess that makes sense, right? Unique. You can only have one. Monuments. These are supposed to be pretty important. I haven't got enough high enough population to get it. In fact, I'm not even close. I'm at 13,000. You need 80,000. So long way to go. Now here's the economy. So hopefully not getting too boring for you folks, but I know a lot of people really want to see the nitty gritties of what goes into this type of game to make sure they can really dive into it. So you can set your taxes for, you know, the various districts, low density, residential, high density, etc. Obviously, raising taxes is going to make people angry, but bring in more money. You can see quickly see your income and your expenses, where all your money is going to, and how much money you have total. Weekly total expenses. Wow, that's pretty expensive. Budget. Now, here's where you can kind of fix things. Like, for example, notice I've got some water, running out of water here. So normally you say, oh, well, I've got to build a whole new water plant, but I already have 2 water pumping stations, and it's pretty expensive to build a whole new one. So instead, let's go in and let's increase the budget for water. This will allow them to hire more people, and as you all know, just throwing more people at a problem fixes it. So now you'll start to see these little need for waters disappear. So that's kind of a good stand-in until you're like, okay, and you've maxed the budget, and you're still not, you know, providing enough water. Now it's time to build a new station and then lower the budget. Don't forget to lower the budget, because if you keep your budget very high and you add a third one, it's going to be very, very expensive, and you're going to be generating far more whatever than you need. Loans, you can take out loans that have, you know, various amounts of money with various amounts of interest. Kind of standard there. Here's the city policies. We'll go into those. We've been over those a little bit before, but there's quite a few of them. They unlock based on population, but there's tax raises for office buildings, tax relief for low density, things like that, I guess, to just make people happy or whatever you do. High-tech housing turns homes into much cooler smart homes to raise the land value around them, slightly increases the land value, but it costs you 4 cents a residential building. Wow, that sounds like a great deal. Which we'll close that. The last thing, or well, one of the last things we'll cover here is the little tweeter. I forget what they call this thing, but it's the idea is like you're watching your citizens talk about things. A lot of it's relevant. Like, people will say, "Oh, you know, we don't have water. What the hell is the deal?" Let's see, blah blah blah. Oh yeah, doesn't the city board come up with anything more modern than farming? What's next? Hashtag horse. Hashtag wagons. Some people will complain about certain things like that, like having an agricultural section, but some people will praise it. I think it's just mostly flavor text, meaning that some people like that kind of thing, some people don't. Most of it, unless there's an obvious problem, most of it's just idle chatter. And honestly, it gets pretty repetitive after a while. Like, you start seeing the same messages over and over and over again. So you can pretty much ignore that. I think you can turn it off entirely. I don't know for sure. And again, as problems pop up, you can see again, this building is dilapidated. So I click on it and I say, okay, this was Pallet Fuels Ltd. It's abandoned. So the problem with abandoned buildings is it brings down your local area land value. Now you can wait until somebody else moves in, but you can also delete it. And I don't think it costs you anything to just trash it. And I think that will kind of expedite other people moving in, because they can build a different type of building based on whatever it is they need. So I don't really know if there's a point. Yeah, see, now they're already building. And you can click on individual people, and they'll say things, and you can name them as well. So if I want to say you're Vertigo Tea Party, you're now pretty cool. A well-educated adult resides at the Umber residence. And they're students. They're pretty happy. You can click on cars and see what they're doing. Also, things like this is actually pretty important. Forestry truck. We click on this and it tells you how much of a load it has. And it's telling you what it's doing. We're delivering forestry products to Frank's Fish Stick Factory. Why Frank's Fish Stick Factory needs wood products, I have no idea. But apparently it does. Other important things is like this. We got this bus. It will tell me like distance traveled on the line, how far it is, and how many passengers it has. So if this thing is either A, constantly full, or B, constantly empty, I need to reevaluate my bus line. So being able to quickly see that, like, it's nice to see the bus go by and go, oh, you know, by the way, let me check this bus. Let's see how it's doing. And maybe go, maybe I should modify the line here. So we click on it. I guess can we really change it from here? We can delete it. Where is the line? I don't even know, but you can change the line. You can actually drag it around, I believe. Let me try to find out. I don't remember how to change it. I think you can just click and drag. Nope. Hold on. Sorry. Let me just. Nope. Let me do this. Oh God, no. Oh, we want to click on the bus line. Here we go. So now I'm dragging the line. Now I can say, oh, you know what? That's not working. Let's move this over here. Sometimes the routes can be a little weird. So you can see like when I'm doing this, it's going all loop-de-loop. I don't quite get why it does that, but I'm sure someone with more experience could probably figure that out. And it probably could figure out after, you know, digging into it a little bit more. This stadium has neither electricity nor water, but that's okay for the time being because we're kind of wrapping up here. And again, sorry I kind of blew through things and I maybe went through things a little bit more than you'd care to generally. But again, I know a lot of people, one of the big important things for this type of game is how deep can it be? Like, sure, it's fun to build your city up for the first couple hours, but what's there to do after that? You know, how can I, when my problems come up, does the game give me the tools to solve them? Things like that. And I think this game, from what I've seen so far, does seem to do that. Quickly, let's go over the options and we will wrap up. Graphics, you have your general resolution, widescreen. We can do either full screen or windowed, which, by the way, game doesn't properly trap the mouse, which is one of those things that really gets under my skin. Tilt shift the mouse, which I guess that's something to do with the camera. Obviously, I have everything maxed. So keep in mind when I'm saying I'm not getting great performance, I probably could lower that and get better performance. But again, I feel like it should run a little bit better. But again, it's not been a distracting element of the game. It's not a serious negative, but it's something to keep in mind. Once the city gets bigger and bigger, I might have to drop the settings to make it run more to a smooth frame rate, depending. Audio, again, love when you split up the different volumes instead of just like one or two. Love that. Thank you very much. Gameplay, you got your key. You can change your keys. See pause. Oh yeah, you're just your hot keys that you can use. How fast edge scrolling works, things like that. Language, blah blah blah. Tutorial messages, you can turn those off, etc. etc. You can reset unique building unlocking. So if for some reason you wanted to re-unlock those, I guess you could. I don't know why, but yeah, that is Cities Skylines. I think I covered just about everything, but even then I feel like I kind of only glossed over the tools that we have, the basics. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more to really dig into. Now, the big question here is this. If I want to play a city building game, what should I pick this up? Especially when compared to the other obvious choices, SimCity 2013 and Cities XXL, and maybe even, if you want to go back a little ways, SimCity 4. Now, I haven't played SimCity 2013 or SimCity 4. In fact, the only SimCity I've seriously played was SimCity for the Super Nintendo. But should you buy this game if you like city builders? And since you're probably only going to buy and play one city builder consistently, I would say yes. Definitely in between what I've heard of SimCity 2013 and what I've played of City XXL, I would definitely say this would be the game to go to. It seems like it supports a bigger city. It's and it doesn't seem to have a lot of the traffic issues that SimCity had, just because the AI was terrible. I think they fixed a lot of that, but I haven't really been keeping up with it because I kind of stopped following it once I heard how bad it was. But it's been quite enjoyable. It looks good. The background music is nice, which might sound like a weird comment to make, and a random one at that. But when you're playing a game like this, the background music is going to play over and over and over and over and over again. So it's one of those things that you want to be not grating and mostly just kind of a pleasing background noise. And so far, it's been quite pleasing. I've liked it quite a bit. I really like some of the things they've done, like having the outline of the roads. I love that. I love being able to see quickly. Oh, okay, I need to do like this so that to maximize that, instead of trying to count, okay, 1, 2, 3, not having to do that is awesome. One thing I wish you could do, however, I wish you could draw an outline of the road that you were building before you built it. That way you could kind of, plan it out ahead of time, but not spend the money for it just yet. That would be nice. Again, that's nitpicking, though. That's definitely not a major criticism. That's just a nice to have, for sure. But yeah, City Skylines, again, it should be available around the time you see this, if it's not out already. Not sure when I'm going to upload this. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Again, it's available for $29. That's the other thing. It's $29.99. I feel like if you are a fan of city builders, and especially when considering the mods that will add new maps and new building types, I feel like you're going to get your money's worth out of this. If you are a big fan of those types of games, like I believe it or not, I am, even though I tend to play games like Tropico, where it's a little bit more resource-based, as opposed to like traffic and other type management. I feel like you're going to get your money out of this. And I feel like it's probably the best city building game out right now that's not very old that I have actually come close to playing. And again, kind of see here where we'll stop my praising for a second. See how these like signs keep repeating over and over again? Again, somewhat minor, but again, part of the things for people like me who play this, I want to be efficient, but I also want to see variety in the cities. But anyway, I have rambled on quite long enough. That was Cities Skylines. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, speaking of. If you'd like to see more games covered that you may or may not have heard of, make sure to follow me. Leave your comments in the comment section below, and I will see you next time.
Step back, though. We are getting this worked up about a mobile game. I mean,
I do hate you, though. I want to be 100% clear with a moment of seriousness. I hate your guts.